All right,
Hi.
welcome. Yeah, so I'm here with John again for another mentorship session. John, say hi to the audience.
Hey everyone.
Yeah, because there's
Glad to be
there's
here.
like millions of people watching. um,
All right.
all right, so let's get started. Can you describe just tell me about what happened in the prior week?
Yeah, unfortunately it wasn't a ton. My kids are out on spring break right now, so I spent actually a good amount of time with them this week, which was nice. Um, I did a little bit of work on the enterprise design thinking course. Not 100% complete with it, but revisited that. And then I also took a quick look at the Odin getting hired thing. Looked through that a little bit again. Um, I looked at collecting job leads, qualifying job leads, building resume, um, applying for jobs. I I didn't do any of the like practical elements because I was kind of looking for things that I could apply that I haven't done already um, in doing those things. But yeah, I revisited that, kind of looking for those potential ideas. And then I had one small PR. Um, so the one from last week, it did get merged, which was the routing for the different um, routes on the topic UI, and then Mike asked for, um, let's see, it was the NPM script. So it had a NPM run serve added to that, and the Vite config. He wanted some like proxy settings added to that. So that was a quick one that I was able to do this week. But looking forward, I'm um, really going to be starting on like building out the actual pages. The back end for topic isn't complete, so there's no data, but I can mock up some data to test it out on the front end. But yeah, that's kind of where things stand right now on some of the things that we uh, have in the now scope. Um, yeah, that's kind of the quick recap of where that's at. I wasn't able to attend any meetups um, this last week, but still looking to do some of those as well.
All right, so what's your like preferred future? Like, what would you like to focus on?
I think I'd like to focus a big part on contributing to the Mentor Hub. Um, also, um, like to finish the design thinking. There's not much left of that, so that should be fairly easy to finish off. And then, um, and I'd like to just continue working on some of the Odin practical uh, stuff in there to try to improve my job search.
Okay. Um, all right. So tell me more about the building out the pages with mock data for the topic UI Mentor Hub repo. Is there a like an issue or some sort of ticket attached to that?
Yeah, it's the single issue, um, issue number one for the topic UI, and essentially, so right now, um, you can go to, well, running a local dev server. I can go to slash uh, topics, and it just brings up a header, and I can go to topic, and that's the add a topic page. And all of these pages basically just have a header right now. So what it entails is actually building out what will be on the page. Um, so there'll be some data fetching to get a list of topics from the topic API service. So I'll have to build that out, even though it's not um, up and running or serving data yet. I can still build out the front end so that once it's up, it will fetch that data. And but the topics page, it essentially will just load a list of topics and have a button to add a topic. And the there are some wireframes of how each page is going to look. Um, I mocked up some of those, and that was kind of the first part of the issue, was just getting some feedback and sketching out how the UI would look. So um, on the topics page, there are paths and subpaths to these topics. So um, like a mentee or a student would have like a path that they're working on, like Odin, and then they would have like a subpath, which would be like a section that they're working on, and then a list of topics in that subpath that are listed out. Um, and so mentors would be able to come in and see what topics there are under that section. Um, and so that's kind of the idea, I think, behind the topics. There is a resources also that's associated with topics. So um, there's a edit resource or edit topic page, which will allow like a mentor to come in and add skills and resources to a topic, like assign what skills that topic applies to, and then um, provide additional resources that's associated with it. It could be external resources that apply. So there's a bit there, but the first step is kind of just building out the UI and getting it how looks generally on the mockups, and then I guess eventually connecting it to the back end to get the data and being able to update topics and resources and skills associated with those topics.
Okay, so during our time together, you'd like to discuss Mentor Hub, is that correct?
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about Mentor Hub and yeah, anything else that.
Is there something else you'd like to discuss more than Mentor Hub?
Probably not as far as what I want to focus on in the next week. It's primarily that. So yeah, it's probably good to talk mostly about that.
Okay. It looks like on the now scope we have some things pertaining to the job, and then we also have a lot of things with Mentor Hub. So like, can you tell me about like just the ideas you have regarding Mentor Hub, and then whatever else you wanted to bring up? Sounds like it might be a job, but could you let's move on to the incubation part of the fancy coaching model.
Okay, so ideas for building out the UI.
Yeah, for building out the UI, we also have marked in the now scope last time that there's been communication challenges. This is an asynchronous project. There's really no meetings or anything. So there are, I remember you said that you did look at the design thinking practitioners course a bit, and there are some activities there, such as the feedback grid. So is are you still kind of thinking about there being a challenge with asynchronous communication?
I think there is still a challenge with that. I think what I'm gonna try to do with each kind of step or issue I'm working on is um, utilizing the Discord chat that we have for Mentor Hub and just kind of put out what kind of my next steps are to before I actually start working on them, um, just to get feedback and make sure that um, what I'm planning on is kind of in line with what everyone else is expecting. Because I've learned that, especially with like the mocking up the UI and stuff, there was a lot of back and forth, and it um, with what I thought it was gonna look like, and versus what mainly Mike was looking for, and it mainly came down to like a better understanding of um, him having a better understanding of the overall application and the specific pieces to it. So I think maybe getting clarification before doing too much, that's kind of key in this, asynchronous environment, working on the project separately. You're just kind of forecasting each step out, so that it's kind of clear what I'm doing next, and if it's something that's not in the right direction, then it can be corrected, and I don't have, as much time wasted on something that it's not going to fit the requirement. So that's kind of my idea there as I've started working on the front end to get feedback. Mike's been really great providing feedback. I think I just need to keep being proactive about asking for it prior to spending too much time on anything.
All right. So yeah, that sounds great. I added that to the now scope under the communication challenge. Is there anything else regarding ideas you have about just the stuff we've talked about, or anything specific for this week?
No, not right now. Yeah, I don't have any questions, but I'm sure I'll encounter some new challenges as I go. But yeah, I'm excited to keep working and doing more on it. It's been a good opportunity.
All right. So during our time together, we would like to accomplish um, something to do with Mentor Hub. Is that correct?
Uh, yeah, I think we've talked um, already about what what I'm planning and the situation with that. I'm not sure there's much more to dive into there.
All right. So what's a good first step to? I mean, it wouldn't be necessarily a first step, but like, could you talk about the implementation you've done? I know you've mentioned it. Checking in on the Discord channels. Is there anything more regarding the steps you can take to implement some of the things we've talked about?
Uh, as as far as getting feedback and whatnot.
Yeah, so like, what's a good first step when it comes to asking for more feedback, gauging expectations, doing the work in a way that aligns with the overall project goals? And if it happens to be something where people are like, "Oh, well, this PR isn't going to be approved because it's veered off course," preventing that before it goes in with too much work.
Yeah, I think, yeah, again, communication I think is key. And for this project, um, the best spot for that is our Mentor Hub channel. That I think there's also a UI UX channel, but I think the one that's most active with Mentor Hub related issues is the Mentor Hub channel. And I've used that a bit, not a ton for communicating ahead of time. So that's what I'm hoping to do a little bit more of, to make sure that everything's in line. But I think the first step is just kind of clarifying the scope of how much UI to put into the next step. Um, Perhaps focusing not on like any data fetching at all, just getting components on the page and clarifying that, okay, for the topics page, I'm just going to build out a component for the buttons and the drop down menus and um, a list of topics. So the actual just hard components. And then that might, one, just limit um, the work to just the UI portion of it and getting like confirmation that the UI is set. Once we have that, then turn the focus to creating some mock data. But I can basically hard code components just to make the UI look like it is in the wireframe. So that's kind of the first step, I think, just clarifying the scope and creating. And it could be broken down even more, just like each part of the UI. We've got the header, the create the topic buttons, we have drop downs. So potentially getting feedback on each step. That might be overkill, but uh, it sometimes never hurts to just get confirmation that you're on the right track and you can just keep going.
All right.
And
So,
we're taking those steps for the other pages as well.
okay. So, we meet weekly. So, what would you like to share with me next week? The things you just mentioned, do they
Yeah.
have issues created? Do they have PR, maybe draft requests, or even pending things like that? Or yeah, what would you like to share with me next week?
I hopefully can share some additional PRs that I've submitted and hopefully merged. They'll be under the same issue. I've been creating like branches for these sub issues because there's really one main issue for building out the UI and the pages. So I've just been creating branches for the uh, PRs since it's not going to encompass everything on the issue, but sharing those PRs, maybe share some things about the design thinking because I'm hoping to finish that this week. And yeah, again, anything new that I can glean from the Odin project to add to my job searching.
Okay.
So it's a
So,
little bit of a rehash from some of the things from last week that I just didn't didn't completely get to, but yeah, still want to complete those.
okay. So that was the resume and the personal site. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So I'm filling out the now scope. So I've got to share additional submitted and hopefully merge PRs as branch issues potentially resume and personal site progress, um, and then I think there was one more thing. Do you remember what that was?
Um, no, is it something that we put down?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It was the design thinking course. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm
share
thinking.
discoveries from design thinking course, especially regarding asynchronous communication.
Hmm.
Course, especially regarding async comms. All right, so yeah, let's move on to the last part of the coaching model, which is I guess this one is kind of the weird one. The one listed in the slide I keep looking at is how are your discoveries making a difference for you? So it's kind of like transformation. It's like making that progress week to week. Like what are you doing to grow and transform over time, and like what is something you might have discovered that's like helping you make that progress.
Um, I think I've just discovered um, not always going to have a lot of visible or tangible progress a lot of the times, but as long as you're putting in the effort, that you're going to see results. So it's again, it's just kind of like persistence, just staying persistent um, reminding reminding myself, why and what I'm hoping to get out of this, uh, keeps will keep me focused in making continue to do what I need to do to get the outcomes that I'm trying to achieve.
Okay, so yeah, I'll put that definitely as a celebration. I mean, that sounds great. So yeah, the value of persistence, even though there are other obligations that come out, and sometimes you can't always, uh, you know, give it all the time you would want. Just doing some amount of time every week, even if some weeks it's not as much as other weeks, adds up a lot over time. Yeah, that's a great discovery. And then the other discovery, underlying motivations. Could you tell me more about that?
Um, yeah, sure. It's just when we are doing things, sometimes we can lose focus of why we're doing them. So I think it's helpful, um, for me at least, to remind myself of the why behind what I'm doing, right? I'm doing, this the open source project because it's helping me gain experience. It's um, something that's going to help me on the resume, um, in the job search. So, or, even like the design thinking or things like that, it's kind of an abstract thing, but it helps broaden my knowledge. Um, all of these things can help contribute to why I'm doing what I'm doing. So just keeping a focus on why just helps me make sure um, that it's something that's gonna help me get where I want to go.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. So I put that in the celebrated too. That's definitely something to celebrate. I've heard that a lot. Find a why. One thing I added to it too is it expands the professional network. Like you're doing a lot of great work and being a leader in the mentor hub. It looks like, and working with other developers in the process. So that's something I wrote down to kind of remind you of is, as we discussed, having that professional network and looking for jobs in 80% of where jobs exist, which is unposted through, a professional network. Yeah, I just wanted to remind you of that too, because especially in having like these recorded videos out there, you're kind of building a presence and making yourself known and
Sure.
and yeah. So could you tell me more about that? Does that kind of resonate with you?
Yeah, it definitely does. I agree 100% with the idea that um, building your network is key to finding a job, but also just professional growth. That's another big reason. I mean, even if I have a job, um, had a had my software developer role, I think that professional network is key too, just to have support and resources, and perspective on how to grow and keep growing. So for me, that's another key part of that. So I would, yeah, definitely say that that's something that I'm interested in. That's part of the why as well. Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, that sounds amazing. I think this was a great session. We're at the 9:30 mark, so I guess I'll see you next week. But I'll give you the floor.
Yeah. No, just thank you again, Graham. You're amazing. Appreciate your time and willingness to provide some feedback and perspective for me. So thanks again.
Yep. Talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you.